We were going to do. It's on me. We were going to. This is a little progression throughout the day. We were going to go and do a little fellowship and cook some hot dogs or something. I ran into Mike, and earlier I ran into Pro and Chase. So when we ran into Mike offered, oh, maybe we'll go and cook like a little fellowship at his house. But instead, we came here to H-E-B and just Mike treated. But I was going to buy, but Mike treated. He bought chicken for whoever wanted to eat. So I said, sure, we'll do something here. Anybody that ever wants to share, talk about any of their story, we do that. This is very off the cuff, but you kind of follow throughout the day, and that's kind of what we're doing in another video. I wanted to buy this. I mentioned it. Mike bought it. Mike and me are into the old music, old rock. I saw this the other day. I could name everybody on this cover except for there. You got Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, Amy Winehouse, Jim Morrison, and Janis Joplin. I don't know who that last one is. Actually, talk. Who? Oh, yes. And the thing that they all have in common is it says they died too young. You know, back in that time, obviously, it was...
Things got a lot worse before they got better.
Yes, the drug problem. Back at that time, it was considered part of the... you're in a rock concert, you're going to use. And Janis, of course, overdosed. I think they all overdosed. Everyone on that cover. Except Kurt Cobain shot himself in the head. But yes, he did. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. What's her name?
Well, Courtney, I watched a documentary on it. There was some. There was some question whether or not they had Kurt Cobain killed. They did it, but it looks like he shot himself. He relapsed. I think he was clean from heroin for a while, and then he went back. But
the big question was because he...
Talk, Jace.
Alright, you ain't got to.
Oh, okay. You don't have to be on.
I'm worried about that. But, he had his shoes on, man. You can't pull the trigger with your shoes on.
I watched the documentary on whether or not Cobain...
With the old shotgun, you have to pull it, you can't reach it. It's in his mouth. You can't reach it with your fingers, so you have to pull the trigger with your toe. And he had his shoes on and tied. Fuck did he pull the trigger?
I saw a documentary that
like
basically...
When they're tying the knot.
Well, like, alright, there's the metal part around the trigger, you know, so you gotta get in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I know there have been people that have shot.
No, I'm done with the gun. He shot
the
himself.
gun.
The trigger of the gun.
Okay, he shot himself with it.
No, not the trigger.
With the gun.
He shot.
I thought you were talking about tying.
No.
Yes.
So he shot himself, he had to use his toes.
With a shotgun, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pro, what's going on?
He's eating.
Life, and it's going full speed in every direction.
Okay.
And if you blink, you're going to miss something. It really
Look,
is.
as a matter of fact, I'll give this story. I just remembered it. Me and Pro went over to, and we went over to, some of the guys had to pay some bills and stuff, and Pro was going to get something out of the pawn shop that he pawned, you know, to get back. But we were all in the parking lot, and we were waiting for about 30 minutes, and Mike had to go pay some bills. So I said, well, let's see if he's around.
Everybody has to say that.
Where Pro is. And he didn't see Pro, so I left with Pro's backpack, you know, it's the stuff he owns, backpack. I left with it. I said, I don't know, maybe something happened to Pro, I don't know. And then we drove around, we found him. So stuff happens. Pro, I guess, thought we abandoned him because nobody was there when you got out of the pawn shop. Yeah. What did you think? We just took off?
I figured I'd see somebody and maybe someone needed a ride to Timmins.
Yeah.
And so I went and got me some drinks, and then I ran into my future boss for a week or two.
You got a job. You want to mention what you're going to do, or it's up to you?
Painting the Walmart parking lot.
Okay.
This guy was just sitting there smoking a cigarette at night, and he's like, you know, that would be a perfect nighttime job, man, especially what they pay, you know, $15 an hour. He says, in fact, there goes the supervisor. And I said, why don't you go talk to him? I'm
Okay.
like, well, you know, I think you look more, a little more business oriented. I said, you go ask him. He's all like, no. And I already knew
like
when,
now, then
when he was talking.
just like, that's what's up.
That's exactly what happened. I knew it, and I knew
That's
that.
the best way to get him.
Yeah, to get him involved, he would go for it. He would do it.
That's the best way to
But
get
if I got involved like that first off, he, you know, Mary drag his feet, or he would probably get a better price paid because there's you know, stockers and all that. They're not $10 an hour, not 15.
How did you know that they actually doing the parking lot now? Are they painting right now?
Yeah, they got one of the girls that put the baskets up for it, and she paints like 3 signs a night, like this high up and down. So it would take about a year's parking lot painting. You know, and I thought this guy was just having conversation, just passing the moment, you know. You know, he was going to go though, and he's like, well, when you going to start, you know? And I'm like, well, when you going to get the job? He's already got it.
Good.
That's that. He says, taking it easy, it's take about 2 weeks.
Good. Now, are you painting the lines, the actual lines, in the parking lot?
Yep, I'm done that before. You gotta use a pressure washer. You get them all, the old ones off, and then you just use the paint striper. That's it.
Last time they used a sandblaster, and it took them about a week to get it straight. Because at first, the air pump was way too small, and the hoses were way too big, and the bottom line was that they pulled it out to the glass, and the sand just poured out. You know, and then they got the bigger pumps and the smaller hoses, and
They
but
use
the
a
trouble was,
sandblaster to take the paint off?
yeah, they did last year, and the trouble is when you sit doing it like that, you're down here, but you're taking the paint off the car, you know, 40 feet away. 50
We
feet
had,
away.
when I was doing the halfway house with David Martin, the guy that we rented an upstairs room downtown, and we did a little halfway house. The guys would come in if they needed to stay there, like they were on probation. So we ran that for a while, maybe a year and a half. But the guy who owned the property was a firefighter out of Dallas. And I, of course, finally met him, and I retired from Kingsville. So we became good friends. But he had his own private business in Dallas before he kind of started investing in property here in Porpoise. All he did was do he had all the equipment, you know, maybe, I don't know, a couple $100,000 worth. He had everything to do the stripes throughout the city. The stripes in the middle of the road. That was a business him and another guy out of California started, and it was a side business for him, but all they did was painting the highways or painting all the, stripes you see, and that they had it all set up. He told me his name, I forget his name now, but he made a lot of money just painting, and they did parking lots too, but they had like contracts to do all the, it's a job, and I used to paint. I never did. I don't think I ever did anything on the street, but
The hardest painting I've ever done was scraping the house. Wooden house, scraping it.
That's the biggest.
We scraped the house for 3 days. It took us a day to paint it.
Yes, the preparation is. I house painted. I was a house painting foreman for a construction crew. I've told that before. But the hardest part is when you're doing an old house, fixing it up, because you scrape it. We didn't use sandblasters back in the day when I did it with my dad. And then you fix you spackle what you got to spackle, you fill in what you got to fill in, and preparation is the hardest part. So this was a little, I just wanted you to see a little bit of the day. I'm not sure if we're going to do anything else on video, but from here on out, I'm not sure. Jace just met Mike, my artist friend Mike, just today. So I'm trying to introduce him, into the tattoos, which Mike does tattoos. I'll try and think of a verse. I always try and quote something. You were going to remind me of the tattoo. What was it?
Oh yeah, my tattoo.
What does it say?
That we all settle in time. Death is a debt that we all settle.
Okay, I asked him in the room. Death is a debt that we all settle in time. Okay? That's scriptural, though that's not an exact verse. The book of Hebrews in the New Testament says, "It is appointed unto men once to die, but after that the judgment." The book of Romans says, the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. So in Scripture, death was not part of the original plan or creation. We read about creation in Genesis, and when God made everything, death was not part of the picture. But this is the doctrine of original sin. After Adam and Eve sinned and fell, the judgment was death. Death began happening at that point. So in the original creation, you did not have death. But the result, I'll do a real brief thing on it. When God made man and put him in the garden, he said, you can eat of all the trees of the garden except for one. The tree that is in the middle of the garden, you're not allowed to eat from. This is Genesis, first few chapters. That was called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And God said to Adam and Eve, in the day you eat of that tree, you're going to die. The day you eat of that tree, you will die. Death in Scripture means not only physical death, but it means separation from God, like a spiritual death. So, most people know the story of the Garden of Eden. They partook of the forbidden tree called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. There's meaning behind that. I can't do it all right here. And they were cast out of the garden, but they did not die physically that day. They died physically later. So death was not just physical, but it was spiritual. Separation from God. And Paul in Romans, which I quoted, says, the wages of sin, the price for that sin, was death. Since that point forward, all men were born into sin, all women born into sin, and they had to pay the price for sin. How do we pay the price? Are we going to die ourselves and be separated? No. Christ paid the price. He died on the cross. Hebrews says, he tasted death for every man. That's why he died on the cross. He tasted death for every man to deliver those who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. Okay?
Something else he said.
Yes.
He said, we're out of wine. No, turn that water into wine. Keep the party started.
I just taught that. John chapter 2. The water and the
You can
wine.
relate that to this. Check it out. You
Yes.
say that the price
I'm keeping on me
the
because
price they had to pay was death.
Yes.
Because of sin.
yes.
Before you start, you know. These guys, I used to be in a rock band, so I know about this.
Yeah.
Reading into it. All these musicians have one thing in common. They all died at the age of 26.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay, that's what this is about.
Yeah.
That's the Rolling Stones. He's that guy
Okay.
from the Rolling Stones.
Okay.
But you said earlier that the price you had to pay was death. When you go into
Yeah.
when you go into playing art or music, and you go that in depth with your sin, you're doing drugs. You're singing about things that people don't normally talk about. You're thinking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You're going down the devil's road. Okay, the price is death. It even says right here, this story is a brilliant, special, fragile, amazing to be told. The 6 musical artists who happened to die at the same early age, 27, sorry,
Okay.
did more than perform memorial songs. They expressed ideas and emotions that were shared by enthralled followers from the generations and beyond. The stories of these numerous artists led to tragic ends, but lives they led were transformative to music. This is where he said sin.
Yeah.
To music, to culture. Get it? To music, to culture, and at the very end, the price you pay to countless lives.
Okay.
Now, in other words, when you're playing rock and roll, you don't give a shit if you die. If you're shutting up on heroin, you're doing lines of cocaine, you're going out there making lots of money getting laid by good-looking women. You don't care.
Correct.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
All you care about is getting high again.
Yes.
Jumping into bed again,
Yeah.
swinging that bottle,
Yeah.
playing rock and roll.
Yeah.
You hit it right on the nose, perfect timing. I didn't mean to tell you this.
Oh, no, that was good. That
I was
fit
trying
in.
to tell you,
Yeah.
it was exactly what you're kind of talking about.
Fit in.
The price you have to pay is death, but these guys don't
Yeah,
care. You don't
correct.
care when you're making that kind of a move.
Yeah.
I had a little taste of it.
Yeah.
I never. Those are Richard things. When I was a kid, when I played in the front room, it's like diving in a swimming pool, man. You never know. You're high as a kite and you're out there on the stage playing. You know you're going to get laid when you get off the stage. You know there's going to be parties. You know there's going to be room.
Mike was in a group.
You don't care.
Guillotine. He used to
You
play.
don't care.
Yeah.
You don't care. You got your music. It gives you a natural high. You got booze every other night. You're playing. It's free. You got drugs. You got women. You got followers. You got people. The price you pay to die of an overdose, you don't get.
Yeah.
You just don't get it.
Yeah.
And you know a lot of those type of people, but I'm telling you, it does.
Yeah.
It exists. Not just in the rich and famous world. I've been to Toronto and I played there. I've been to the American Banks there when I watched the dishes looking down, some of them dudes walking by me. I see myself in Toronto room, the Valley, and that was when I was younger, 27. 20,
Oh, the same age.
27,
Yeah.
25. And there is a peak, a certain point you come to where you feel like you're going to die,
Yeah.
and you have to keep pushing,
Yeah.
keep playing, come up with new ideas. And the only thing that matters to you is making music, and making art. Whatever it takes to get there, that's all that matters. It really doesn't. That's
Fit in.
sin. That's what you're saying about the price you pay.
It fit in. As a matter of fact, that's the only one I didn't recognize. Is it John Bonham? Is that the?
Look it up.
I was going to say because if he was from the Stones, I think it was. I thought it was.
That's Brian Jones.
Oh, Brian Jones. Okay. The others I all recognize. They all died at the age of.
I don't know who she is.
Amy Winehouse. She's recent. The others are all
Amy Winehouse.
legends. Yes, she's recent. The last couple of years.
But
Jimi Hendrix. I'm looking at him now.
It is
I like
true.
Hendrix. Foxy
back in
Lady.
the 90s when I was 26, 24, 20, between 24 and 26, it was the greatest feeling in the world. I mean, the air was, the outside atmosphere was beautiful, the food was good, the women were hot, the drugs were good, everybody wanted to get drunk and party, have a good time, go to sleep at night. The night was peaceful, beautiful women.
The name of the group you were in was Guillotine. My group. Yeah.
Guillotine. Over 20 years, I finally figured out a cool way to write that. The two L's coming down with a sickle at the bottom of it, alley, for the two L's. Kind of like an Iron Maiden thing, but if written in silver, I know you're really not. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I
Guillotine Alley, the word Guillotine Alley resembles a life in the alley of the bums, of the goal, downtown, of the drinking and the homeless shelters and the rich leaving their wives, going to live in a homeless shelter because they screwed on their lives or drinking their life away.
Okay.
Found in the alley with a bottle in their hand or doing drugs or whatever. It's Guillotine Alley.
I see.
Get it?
Yes.
Every man's ruin. Go down the alley, you see a bunch of broken down men.
Yeah.
Guillotine Alley.
Yeah. Much like what we're talking about, the whole theme of this.
That's the impression that I was given out. But the reason the word is written in silver is when you reach a higher power, the word, you see the word like Iron Maiden, it's written in silver, hard metal, because when you build up to better yourself, say you were stuck in that band,
Yeah.
say you were just stuck on 2 or 3 songs in that band, and you just love those 2 songs. You know, it's stuck with you, part of your life or whatever. Well, you're gonna make the name bold in a minute. I had a vision of making it silver, but if you slip up, the guillotine comes.
You had an insight, Mike, the other day that I pay attention to my friends, but I liked what you said. I don't know if you want to say it again, but you were saying how, talking about the 12 steps, and you were saying, you were telling somebody, it's not just something that you read, but it's something that you know.
You can know the whole Serenity Prayer, but you can say, you can swear up and down that you know it. Oh, I already know the Serenity Prayer. But what they're saying is, when you've been granted the serenity, how do you know? Oh, you know the Serenity Prayer, but how do you really know that you've been granted the serenity?
Okay.
Because being granted the serenity, there's a lot more to that part than just being granted the serenity. You have to be granted the serenity because you worked hard to get there. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. To accept the things you cannot change. Okay, you're going to accept the things you cannot change, but then you're going to go out there and start going off and going off. I thought you said that you just accepted the things you cannot change. And then you go off and you get all mad about it.
And you were saying just knowing the words
Just knowing
is
the words.
not the same as knowing it.
Live in sections of it.
Yeah.
You have to study it. If you're granted the serenity, that means you come a long way to be granted the serenity.
Okay.
If you accepted the things you could not change, whether you had a small peckaroo or whatever, you had to accept the fact that you had nothing that women wanted.
Yeah.
Well, that's too funny, you know.
Can't change it unless unless you got enough money to get one of those transplant.
But okay, to accept things you cannot change. You can't change your income. You can't change the fact that you're on foot. You ain't got a car. Okay, but you go out there and you start telling the whole world, oh, I can't take it. I ain't got a car. I'm on foot. Whatever. You haven't accepted it. You haven't accepted yourself for who you are. You haven't accepted that. You keep bringing it up. Accept.
I even talked about, you weren't with us. Next day I ran into Crow and Andy. We did a little meeting in the parking lot.
Yeah.
But I said the insight you had about when you were living homeless for a while and you were up in like Houston. But you
I didn't grow up there. I lived there for a while.
Yes, you were up there for a while. But you began looking in the mirror and saying you had self-worth. You had worth. You had this.
Oh yeah.
I remember you sharing.
Well, when you're all alone in a big city and it's just you and no one to question about you, you got to find some kind of higher power. You start to look at yourself as, I am a person. I'm alive for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm not crippled. Yeah. I am a person. You know, I'm not. You gotta like yourself.
Yes.
To some extent.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Like the fact that you can write, like the fact that you can hear and read.
Mike treated.
You can function, you know.
Yeah,
You gotta accept. So I live by the Trinity purpose. You have to accept the things you cannot change and have the courage to change the things you can. And like that lion on that cartoon, you gotta have the courage. You had no courage. You have to have
like a lion.
Yeah, you gotta have that courage, man. No matter if you're this big or you're this small.
I quote when I talked about that, because I remembered you saying that, but I actually mentioned the verse when we talked about it the other day. But the verse is, talks about loving yourself and loving others. And if you don't have self-worth, it's hard to love somebody else.
Yeah.
So you got to overcome that.
Everybody really knows that. You gotta love yourself and love others, but some people don't. A lot of that stuff is ignored, even with me, because you won't know until you get in a situation that you can't do anything about, whether you're on the street, you got no money, whatever. And you look at yourself and you're the one walking with 2 feet. You're the one using your head to situate what you're gonna do. You gotta take care of yourself. You can't. I've seen people do it. They don't. You gotta understand that you're in control of yourself before you can love someone else. Care about someone else. Care about somebody else.
You gotta get your shit right.
Maybe I'm not saying it right. What?
You gotta get your shit taken care of first. You gotta get in tune with yourself before you can help anybody.
Yeah.
For sure, I got
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, well, yes, take the beam out of your own eye and then you can help somebody else. That principle is biblical. Ye that which are spiritual restore such an one. The spirit of meekness.
you gotta get where you wanna be in your life.
Yeah. All right, that's good. I want everybody to talk. Pro, one final word. You get to end it. Some insight.
Insight?
I've been talking and talking and talking.
No, I'm glad Mike spoke. Because
I'm sorry, I've been talking and talking.
No,
and talking.
I wanted you to talk because you don't talk in any of the videos.
Yeah, it's good to have somebody knowledgeable that talks about it.
You put him on the spot.
Good.
Yeah.
No, that's right. Mike treated, which, we were going to cook at Mike's house, but that's fine. Mike did
I gotta
it.
bring all that up.
Mike treated everybody.
Because we care about.
I'm not sure what we're going to do next. We're going to play it by ear. If we do something else, I have no idea, but this might be the last one for today. So that's it. Remember the theme. It fit in with the magazine Mike bought. Talked about the way the sin adapt. It fit in with what he was reading on that. And that's it. We have life. We have a promise of life, and we have hope, and we want self-worth, and we want value. Okay? That's it. We're done. God bless.